Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been quite a while since I've uploaded a video, and so before we get into the topic of today's video, which is me going over my annual 2021 goals with you guys, financial goals, and then also me going through my January 2021 budget, I wanted to take some time in the beginning of the video to kind of update you guys on all the things that have been going on in my life over the past couple months. So let's get started. And if you guys are just here for the financial stuff, I'll be sure to put a timestamp in the video. So yeah guys, I think it's been about 4 or 5 months since I've posted my last video, and there's been a lot of changes that have happened in my life and a lot of changes that are continuing to happen. So one of the most obvious ones is that I renamed the channel to Manage Millennial, and I did that because I think that that name kind of embodies what I want this channel to be about, more about managing your finances, managing your budget, and living more intentionally and being more conscious about your spending habits. And I think that, you know, the name Manage Millennial kind of embodies that a little bit better than just my name. And obviously a lot of the financial stuff on this channel, like I'm still gonna be doing my budgeting videos, so it is gonna be centered around my finances, but I'm hoping that this channel can be a resource to people who are trying to become financially literate. So the next really big change that's happened in my life is that I am moving, and I'm moving in like 4 weeks. It's crazy, it's coming up pretty soon. If you guys don't know, I work in Austin, Texas as a software engineer, and pretty much everybody in my company has been working remotely since February, maybe March. And so I reached out to my company and asked if I could make my position like officially remote, meaning that they won't expect me back into the office when the offices eventually do reopen, which no one knows when that's gonna be. And they approved that. So I decided that I was gonna move back home to Virginia. I'll be moving in with my boyfriend who already lives in that area. And yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. I'm excited to be back in my home state and be closer to family, because it's just been really hard this past year, 2020, not being able to travel and see my family back at home. It's been hard, and moving back to Virginia has been something that I knew I was gonna want to do at some point in the future. I just didn't really know when, and I'm really glad that the opportunity presented itself. So I will be doing that. I have a really big move coming up. I'm gonna be driving from Texas to Virginia. It's gonna be a whole ordeal. I'm gonna have my dog in the back seat, and I'm not bringing any of my furniture that's in my apartment. I am selling / getting rid of basically everything. So yeah, it's a big change, but I'm ready for it. And you guys will probably see this change reflected in my budget, just because basically from January onward, you know, my rent is gonna be cut in half. Me and my boyfriend are also gonna be splitting other expenses like grocery and household stuff. So you'll kind of notice that in my budget going forward, but I'm really excited for it. The next big change that happened was I bought a new car back in September. My old car just gave out on me, and you know, it was just time for a new car. And so I have a 2018 Kia Soul. I've always wanted a Kia Soul. I think it's such a cute and quirky little car, and it has a lot of cargo space. The back seats can like fold down. So it's really good that I actually got this car at the time that I did, because it's gonna be perfect for driving across the country back home to Virginia. So moving forward, you will see a car payment on my monthly budget videos. And the last kind of big update is that I have purchased an iPad. I ended up getting myself a Christmas gift, which I wasn't planning on doing, but they were on sale, and I've been really wanting an iPad recently because I knew that I was gonna start doing my budgeting videos again, and I didn't really wanna go back to getting any type of notebooks because I was wasting a lot of paper doing my budget in these notebooks. And now I have an iPad, and I can just do my budgets digitally. And that also reminds me that I have opened an Etsy shop, because I actually created my own digital planner for me to use. I use GoodNotes, and I use the digital planner in that app. And it's been so great. I love this planner so much, and I'll get into more of the planner once we get into the budgeting portion of the video. But I do have an Etsy shop, and I'll link it down in the description bar below if you guys want to go check it out and, you know, support the channel, support me, but also just get it if you actually want it, not just because you're supporting me. I hope that you guys like it. It's a very minimal financial planner. There are tabs for each month of the year. There's a calendar. I'll get into it. I'll show you once we get into the budgeting part of this video, but I really love this planner and it's a pretty good deal. It's less than $10. I think it's actually less than $7. And yeah, so without further ado, let's actually just jump into that portion of the video. Okay guys, so this is my new iPad. This is the 8th generation iPad. And I also have the 1st generation iPencil. And yeah, this is kind of my whole note-taking and like budget and planning setup. So let's go ahead and get into the financial planner. So this is the cover of the planner, and like I said, I do have this in GoodNotes, so I recommend using it in GoodNotes. It's what I do, and it's a fantastic application. I love it so much. It's very intuitive. I picked it up, and I feel like I was able to use it quite well, like within the first, I don't know, couple of minutes of like downloading the app. So I highly recommend it. So the first page in the planner is for you to write down your goals for the year. So let's go through my goals real quick. I'm not sure if you guys watched my previous budgeting videos, but I basically have just been trying to hit my 6-month emergency fund. Basically since August, I remember having a goal of trying to max out my 2019 Roth IRA by the deadline, which got extended to July. And I remember hitting that goal. So basically from that point on, it was just throwing as much money to my emergency fund as possible. And I got pretty close to getting there, but then I ended up having to buy my car in September, which I put $5,000 down for that car. So I believe in September I had about a little bit over $8,000 saved up for my emergency fund, and it was really sad seeing it go from $8,000 to like $3,000 after paying that down payment. But I definitely don't regret buying my car. It was a great decision and definitely peace of mind. But so yeah, since September I've been trying to build my emergency fund back up, and for me a 6-month emergency fund would be $12,000. And at the time of filming this video, which is like mid-December, I am at $10,000. And if everything goes well, I should be able to reach that goal in January, especially because January is a 3-paycheck month for me. So that extra money will be going towards just finalizing my emergency fund, throwing it away, throw away the key, and never having to worry about it again. So that's the first goal of 2021. The next goal is to pay off that car loan that I got in September. So like I said, I did put $5,000 down. So the remaining balance on my car, I believe, is like $6,400 roughly. And yeah, my goal is to pay that off. That loan is at 4%. And yeah, I just definitely want to pay that off. My minimum car payment each month is $178.95. And you know, it'll be nice to just have that debt gone, have that money freed up in my monthly budget. I just kind of want to take care of that. The next goal that I have is to have $10K in general savings. And so this is separate from my emergency fund, separate from any other sinking funds that I have. This is just me having some sort of a goal. And 10K is kind of like the minimum that I would like to have, but really kind of the goal is just to save as much as possible. Any bonuses, any extra paychecks, any extra money that comes in will just be going into savings. And I'm trying to do that because I feel like a lot of people have specific goals where it's like, oh, I want to save for a down payment on a car, or I'm saving for a wedding, or a down payment on a house, or, you know, things like that. And I definitely do see possibly a wedding happening in the near future, and I do want to buy a house. Like, that is definitely a long-term goal of mine. But without getting like into too much specifics, I'm not sure if I will be in the United States in the next like probably 5 years or so. I have kind of been doing some research into moving to a different country, and I just feel like it doesn't make sense for me to put a specific name to what I'm saving towards, because I don't know what the home buying situation will be like in whatever country I end up being in. And I just kind of want to have that solidified before I'm just like, okay, my next goal is like concretely like me trying to save for a house and stuff. So really, I'm just trying to save as much money as possible for anything that might happen in the next couple of years. And, when I do decide to switch my focus on buying a house or, doing some sort of financial goal, then I'll go ahead and put a name to it. But right now, it's just saving as much as possible, and I'm just setting a rough goal to have at least $10,000 in general savings by the end of the year. The next goal is to max out my 2020 Roth IRA, and so since maxing out my 2019 Roth IRA, which I finished in July, I haven't been putting anything else towards my Roth. I've just been trying to get my emergency fund set up. So I'm starting at zero with this Roth IRA. And I have a goal of putting $500, starting in January, putting $500 a month towards my Roth IRA. And just going forward, I will just always monthly put $500 towards whatever year's Roth that is, so that, I'll have the $6,000 by the end of the year. Or I might have to tweak that if they end up raising the maximum contributions. But I know for 2020, it's definitely $6,000. So for right now, I'm just going to be putting $500 a month towards my Roth. Obviously, between January and April, which the deadline is April 15th, that's only like 4 months, which if I'm putting $500 a month towards it, that's only $2,000. So kind of my goal is to continue to put that $5,000 or $500 a month towards my Roth. And then in March is when my company gives out bonuses. So whatever that bonus ends up being is also going to be put towards my Roth IRA. And I'm hoping that that will be enough to cover it. One thing I also didn't tell you guys about me moving to Virginia, it means that I do have to start paying state income tax. So my take-home salary is actually going to be a lot lower just because I live in Texas now and we don't have state income tax. So I will be putting, there will be money taken out that wasn't taken out before, which kind of sucks. But, I knew that moving I was gonna have to start paying taxes, but it's worth it to me. But it does kind of suck to have less money. And I also am upping my 401k contributions too. So that's just even less money that I'm gonna have available for take-home pay. And I mentioned that because I'm not completely sure if my bonus is gonna be enough to, take care of maxing out the rest of my 2020 Roth IRA, especially now that there is gonna be state taxes taken out of it and all that kind of jazz. So we'll see. If I have to, I will pull from my general savings because, you only have one opportunity to max out your Roth IRA for that year. And then afterwards, that's just money lost if you didn't max it out and you had the opportunity to. So I would much rather, worst case scenario, take the money from my general savings to max it out. But I'm hoping that I can manage to do it with my bonus and not have to disrupt my general savings to do that. And then the last goal, which this has like a little asterisk by it, is to pay off my student loans. And I have an asterisk by it because this is kind of like a bonus goal. I'm not going to be too upset if I don't, pay off my student loans. And I say that because I kind of had to decide which loan, my car loan or my student loans, was going to take priority. And I decided to pay off my car loan first. So that is going to be higher priority. Basically, everything on this list is higher priority than paying off my student loans. And that's just because after, doing some research and talking to some people, there are, if ish were to hit the fan and, I didn't have a job or some emergency happened and I wasn't able to pay bills or something like that with the student loan, there's a lot of options for payment deferrals, and you can talk with them about, lowering your minimum payment each month and all that jazz. There's just a lot of options when it comes to student loans. But with your car loan, that could just get repossessed, and I just don't want that to happen. Also, both of these loans are at the same interest rate, 4%. So I guess it would be different if like one of these loans was at like a much higher interest rate. I would probably prioritize that, but they're at the same interest rate, and I have options to fall back on if like I wasn't able to pay off my student loans, but there's not a lot of options with the car loan, so I'm just going to be prioritizing that. So yeah, also too, my student loans, I think I only have like $5,000 left. I think it's like $5,100 left to pay that off. So yeah, I'm gonna let that be for the time being. But if I do hit all of my goals, all of these other goals this year, then I will try to pay off my student loans. Let's go ahead and get to the actual budgeting portion of this video. So the next page in the planner is kind of the monthly tabs. So each tab, each month starts off with an undated calendar. So all of these tabs have the same templates in it. So we'll just go back to January because I've already started filling that out. And I did this kind of off screen because your girl's still getting used to like writing with the Apple Pen, like on a smooth surface. And I feel like my handwriting doesn't always come out the way that I want it to. So I spared you guys watching me try to write all this stuff out. But let's see if I can zoom you guys in just a teensy bit. So yeah, it comes with an undated calendar. I have dated this calendar already. And you know, I know a lot of people are into like digital stickers and stuff like that. So you're welcome to download or buy whatever digital stickers you want and add them here. I'm not a big sticker person, or at least I'm not yet. So I've just kind of, you know, like documented a little bit on this view, but I haven't done a whole bunch of like decorating and stuff like that. So I have kind of like noted where my paychecks are. Those are like the little green highlighters. And then I've also noted the weekend that I'm going to be moving, and also noted the PTO and holidays that will be coming up this year or this month. And I've also kind of just jotted down, so on the 15th, that's when my internet gets cut off. And then I've also just noted that I have my washer and dryer being picked up on the 18th, which I will not be there. So yeah. And then I've kind of just decorated at the bottom just some pictures of like the past year or two. This was a picture of me, my boyfriend, and a friend in Hawaii. This was in 2019 for my 24th birthday. This was a picture that I took in Barbados, September of that year. I went on a group trip with some of my closest friends, and it was really great. Another picture of just me and my boyfriend, and then a picture of me and one of my best friends while we were in Barbados. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get to the actual budget. So, actually, let me zoom you guys in just a little bit. So this is the template that I created. Each month has the same template, and this is just the monthly budget template. So there is a section up here for you can document your budget and your actual income for the month. And so I have, let me zoom in just a teensy bit. So I have my salary and my variable income kind of documented. Salary is obviously from my job, and then variable is just anything from my Etsy shop, anything just like extra, anything from YouTube, stuff like that. So I am projecting $8,130 this month, which is really nice. I mean, I don't usually make that much money, but it's because I have 3 paychecks this month. So that'll go a long way to helping me finish out some of my goals. There's a section up here for you to write down your goals for the month, and I don't really have a bunch of goals for this month. Basically, I just need to survive this move and get settled in Virginia. But one of the goals that I did come up with was to spend less than or equal to $30 on groceries for the first 2 weeks of the month. And that is just because if you look here, the first two weeks of the month is basically my last 2 weeks in Austin. And I just want to be mindful of how much food, I'm buying those couple of weeks because I don't really want to have any waste. I don't want to have any excess because I'm not going to be bringing anything on the trip because I don't want it to spoil. So I just think that keeping my grocery budget low will kind of force me to, you know, only buy what I need for those couple of weeks and not to buy anything outside of that. So let's get into my expenses. This section is kind of for more like fixed expenses, but I do have like an actual budget though, just because in my experience, sometimes your expenses that you deem as fixed do change sometimes. For example, like Netflix has changed on me before because, you know, they up their prices sometimes. And also my internet has like changed sometimes as well. So let's talk about these numbers. So for rent, I've budgeted $13.29, and I actually typically budget $14.65. But long story short, in December, I forgot to pay my rent because I, for some reason, was thinking that my rent was on automatic payment. So they take it right out of my checking account, which I have no clue why I thought that because I've never had my rent on auto pay. I've always manually did it. So I was checking my checking account one day and I was like, wow, I have a lot of money like in my checking account right now, and I don't usually have this much money around this time of the month. And I realized that I didn't pay my rent. And then by the time I went and paid it, I had accumulated $136 of late fees, which was not cute, and I was really upset, but I had nobody to blame but myself. But my rental, the office, the leasing office was really, they were really accommodating, and they went ahead and waived those fees because I usually pay on time. So they're just crediting me that $136 to my next month's rent, which will be January. So I've just subtracted 136 from 1465, and so that's the number that I'm budgeting for rent. For electricity, I'm doing $63. I typically budget $90, which I usually never use $90 unless it's during the summer. But the reason I'm doing $63 this month is because back in August, my utilities account was credited like $285 or $80 or something like that. That was apparently the amount that I put down as a deposit when I was creating this account 3 years ago when I moved to Austin. So I haven't actually paid electricity for the past couple of months. And I think it's basically gonna run out in January because I only have like negative $27 left on that account, and my electricity bill is probably gonna be more than $27. So I just took 90 and I subtracted 27 and I got 63. So that's how much I am going to budget for electricity. For internet, my internet has consistently been $60.32, so I'm just budgeting that. Washer and dryer, this is the amount that I pay each month to rent my washer and dryer because my apartment complex did not include a washer and dryer. So you either had to buy one or you could rent one, and I opted to rent it, so I pay $42.21 each month. Netflix is consistently $14.06. My Apple One bill is consistently $21.64, and Apple Two bill is 99 cents. I just budgeted $1. I think this is for Apple storage. And then $11.99 for YouTube Premium, and then my car payment, which is $178.95. So those are all my like more fixed expenses, and that total is $1,722.17. I cannot English today. It's really weird. Okay, now let's get to the variable expenses. So this is looking a bit different than how I plan it to look in the months going forward, but this is just a weird month because I'm moving and all that stuff. So let's talk through these variable expenses. So I have groceries, which I've budgeted $185. If you've watched my other budgeting videos, you'll know that I typically budget $275 for groceries. And now that January is gonna be the first month that I'm living with my boyfriend, and we're gonna be going half on groceries. So we kind of talked and decided that we kind of want to stay around $300 in total for groceries each month. So that would just mean both of us budgeting out $150. Groceries, the groceries category is now including household, which before I used to have household as a separate line item in my budget, but I usually get my household type stuff from the place that I get my groceries from, so I just decided to combine it. And I used to budget $50 a month for household type stuff. We're gonna now budget like around 70, so I just added my half, which is 35, to the 150, and yeah. So we're both basically gonna be budgeting like around $185 each month, and that should take care of groceries and household. And I'm really interested to see how this goes, because I was basically budgeting like close to $300 just for myself in groceries each month. But I think it's definitely doable. And if you know me, I just think that when it comes to like lowering your expenses, groceries is like one of the first things you can tackle. And I'm excited to see if this works out. The next one is Soja, which is my Australian Shepherd puppy. Well, he's not really a puppy anymore. He's like 2 years old. But yeah, I budget about $40 a month for him. That's for his dog food for the month and also his toys and treats. Next, we have Miscellaneous, and I budgeted $300 for this. This is just to kind of cover any expenses that I'm not thinking of that might need to happen this month, maybe related to the move, because what I originally envisioned I would use this for is because I was thinking about shipping off my really nice television in my living room to the new apartment, and I've never shipped anything before, so I was like, oh, I'll probably just take whatever the shipping fees, how much it costs to ship that out of here. But I'm actually not sure if I'm gonna do that anymore. I was planning on shipping my exercise bike and that television, but I think I'm gonna just sell those things now, because long story short, I've never shipped anything before, and my first experience shipping something was during Black Friday, where I bought 2 hoverboards for my nephews, and they were only for pickup here in Austin. I was like, okay, I'll just pick them up and then ship them to their house in Virginia. And to ship those 2 hoverboards, it was like $134, and I was like, geez, if it costs $134, $36 to ship those 2 hoverboards, I am like scared to think of how much it's gonna cost to ship my exercise bike and, you know, my television. So I'm kind of thinking it may not be worth it. So I'm like 80% sure I'm probably just gonna sell those things, but I'm gonna do a little bit more research and see if it's worth it. The next one is Trip, which is for the actual trip to Virginia. So it's gonna be like probably a 2-day or 3-day trip. And my father, bless his heart, is flying in to Austin, which I'm a little nervous about, but he really wanted to be here to help me drive, you know, that far distance back to the East Coast. And so this $550 is kind of just money for my part of the expenses, any hotels that we stay in, any food, stuff like that. The next is my move allowance, and this is going to be for me just getting set up with anything I might need once I get to the new place. There's some things, basically I said I'm gonna be, you know, selling everything that I own, but there are gonna be some things that like can't fit in my car that I'm gonna need to buy back once I get there. I can think off the top of my head, my dog Soja, his crate is just too big. It'll take up too much room in my car, so I'm gonna have to repurchase that when I get back to Virginia. I'm gonna need to buy a desk for the office area. I'm gonna need a chair, things like that. So I'm just budgeting $500 for that. I don't know if that's gonna be enough, but we shall see. The next line item is rent too, and I do already have rent covered here, but this is for rent on my new apartment in Virginia. And so the apartment that we leased the lease actually starts in December, at the end of December. I think it's like December 22nd. And we get the first month free. There was like a special going on when we signed the lease, so you get the first month and a half free. So our rent is $1,800, so they're giving us a credit in January for $1,800, but I've budgeted about $300 to take care of the stuff that we might have to pay on top of rent, which is pet rent, which is another $50 a month on top of our rent. And then we both have to pay for parking, which is like $235. So this should cover my half of the other extra expenses that we'll have to pay in January. And I actually just noticed that I made a little error here. I highlighted move allowance and rent, but I really just needed to highlight trip and rent. And I'm highlighting these because what I like to do is the budget that I have laid out here, I take, you know, the total of what this all comes out to be, and I take this from my last paycheck of the previous month, and I set that aside in my bills and expense account, checking account, so that once the new month hits and all my like automatic payments start hitting, the money is ready to go in the checking account for that. But I have highlighted trip and the move allowance because those are kind of high anomaly expenses, and I won't have enough money from one paycheck to pay for all this stuff. But it actually works out because I don't even need this money available to me until the 15th here. And as you can see, I get like 2 paychecks before I move. So I'll probably just take those 2 budgeted amounts from one of those 2 paychecks. So it kind of works out. And in my little notes area, I have that kind of marked down, which is to take the trip and the move expenses from my first paycheck of January, and then also to move basically $2,500 to my bills and expenses account. And that is the total. That's the total of these 2 columns, but minus the trip and the move allowance. So I'm gonna move all that money into my checking account so that it's ready to be taken out of. So yeah, that is my January budget. And real quick, you'll see these templates more in action in my next budgeting videos, but I just wanted to show them real quick, which is the other templates that are available in this budget journal or planner. So I have a weekly check-in, which I didn't used to do weekly check-in videos, but I'm gonna start doing it this year because you'll see this in my next, in my February budget with me video, but I am upping my personal allowance each month. And because of that, I just want to start having a little bit more accountability for how much I'm spending each week, because, you know, I don't want there to be a case of, hey, I have all this money to spend and I'm just, you know, spending like a crazy amount. You definitely want to make sure that you guys are subscribed and you have the notification bell hit, because those videos are coming and I'm really excited about it. And the last page that comes for each month is sinking funds, which I do have sinking funds, and you'll see me fill these out probably in my first paycheck. Or my first weekly check-in. I'll go ahead and write out all my sinking funds, and I'm really excited about this. This is one of the things that I have been most excited about going into the new year. Now that I have my, you know, emergency fund taken care of, I can, instead of just putting all of my extra money towards emergency fund, I can be a little bit more strategic about how I'm saving. And so that's where the sinking funds come into play, and I'm really excited about that. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments, and, you know, let me know what you guys have for goals this year. Like, I don't know about you guys, but 2020 has been so exhausting, and I'm so ready for a new year. I'm ready to tackle these goals. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to just, you know, start a new life kind of and just leave 2020 in the past. So that'll be it. I will be doing a weekly check-in video in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, I will let you guys go, and you guys have a great day. Bye.